going on, guys? Good morning. Welcome back to United View. Hope everyone is doing very well. Happy Friday, the end of the week. We are here. It is Friday. It is medical day. It is more transfer day news stuff thing. The intro kind of fell on its face towards the end there. I don't know if you noticed. But we've got plenty to get into today. We're going to be chatting about Joshua Zirkzee, his medical. He is in Manchester. Completing or beginning, rather, his medical, hopefully with an announcement fairly soon regarding official confirmation on his move from Bologna. We've got also updates when it comes to Leny Yoro and possibly a decision to be made now. Is it going to be Real Madrid or is it going to be Manchester United? Do you go with the offer of that the club wants, which is Lille, his current club? They're saying, go to Manchester United, we want the money. Or do you go, I'm going to probably stay... Going to probably stick around and either wait for Real Madrid or go on a free next year. Ugh, what's going to happen there? We're also going to give a bit of an update when it comes to Casemiro and this continuous interest from Saudi Arabia wanting Casemiro. We've actually got clubs potentially that are interested in Casemiro. So we've got plenty to get into this morning. So if you haven't already, click the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right hand corner. Solo show this morning. Jurgen Fleck is on assignment. Maybe a scouting mission, perhaps, this morning. So you've got me for the best part of an hour. So big up. I can see everyone in the chat. Let me know where you're watching from. Classic UV. And what the weather is like. Because I woke up this morning. Bloody lovely, I will say. The temperature's gone down. It's nice and cool. You know, much, much cooler than it has been recently. I didn't wake up in a sweaty mess. Wow, you know. Less so than usual, basically, and it's very, very nice, very nice. Enjoying it a lot. You know me, don't like the heat, don't like the summer, not a fan of it. I'm a winter guy. I prefer the cooler temperatures, cooler weathers, and that's what we've got this morning. So I'm very happy with it. What are people saying here in the chat? Interesting. Mafita says the moon, pretty cold, pretty chilly up there. Yeah, very chilly. Let us know what the weather forecast is like on the moon this morning. Joe Blackburn says cloudy, southeast London. We've got from Kansas, USA, 3 a.m. here. Wow, look at that. We've got South Africa in the house too. Dom says Melbourne, Australia is cold night. Of course, yes, winter over there at the moment. El Gecko says Atlanta, Georgia, 4 a.m. and it's already 74. That is 4. Court Star says summer over winter every single time. Lil Yo-Yo says calling from a spaceship, no oxygen, mate. Very impressive how you're typing away considering, you know, you're unconscious at this time. But as I always say, Lil Yo-Yo, he's a menace. You know, keep an eye on him. Like Gary Lineker with Paul Gasol going at the World Cup. You keep an eye on him, Lil Yo-Yo. That's what I'm going to say with the chat, okay? Keep an eye on him. You know, watch his misbehaviour. Got 6 p.m. or a.m. Is it p.m.? p.m. in Australia. Sunny in Norwich in the chat. I could do that. This is the whole show, guys. This is the whole show. We've got Nigeria, cold. 3 a.m. in Oklahoma. 85 outside. Poland, just okay this morning. SLD's calling from Lee Dixon's house. Lee, call the police because there's someone in your house. This is the whole show. No, I will focus now. It's really kicking in. I could do that. Milton Keynes, India, Istanbul, already 28. Whoa, it is. I gotta stop. What are we talking about first? Joshua Zirkzee. Yes, medical. I could press the breaking news one, but it's not really breaking news. We know that's a fact. As you can see on the screen right there, Fabrizio Romano tweeted this morning saying Joshua Zirkzee deal has started with medical tests for the new Manchester United player. Sometimes Romano misses out words. Face-to-face meeting with Erik ten Hag will follow. Then he's going to sign a contract until June 2029 with an option for a further season. With the fee, this was confirmed yesterday, of course. He did have the release clause of 40 million euros. United decided not to pay that because that would, of course, require for Manchester United to pay it all up front. So instead, they negotiated a deal with Bologna with a little bit extra money, 42.5 million euro. But this fee is to be paid over 3 years to Bologna. So yes, they're getting a little bit more money, but Manchester United pay less up front and have more room to manoeuvre when it comes to this summer transfer window. This was also backed up by Florian Plettenberg, or as Flex would say, Florentine Plettenberg, who has said Joshua Zirkzee, he is already on site and undergoing his medical with Man United. If everything goes well, he is expected to sign his contract until 2029, +1 today, and the deal will be announced. Now, Florian says he understands the 23-year-old is very proud to join Manchester United, and he also hopes to get the jersey with the number 9. Yes, Anthony Martial's old number. What number do you think he'll get? Let me know about that in the chat. When it comes to this, I mean, what was interesting actually with what Florian Plettenberg was saying there, he was saying, you know, an announcement. I can't imagine Man United would announce that today. I think they might go with like a Monday announcement, that kind of thing, perhaps. Possibly over the weekend too. That's entirely possible. Particularly maybe with Sunday. Although it's interesting with these ones because this is when it gets into the territory of sort of social media strategy, doesn't it? Because what I mean by this is I remember... this was a few years ago now, when Frank Lampard was announced as the Chelsea head coach. So what was this? It was like 2019 or something. During that, the day that he was going to be announced, Twitter went down. It went down. So they decided to postpone the announcement because social media was down. So make no mistake, there is a lot of strategy involved in this kind of stuff. But the important thing is that the medical is being done today. As far as the, you know, when it gets announced, it's kind of not really that important, isn't it? The most important thing is that the deal gets done and he's available for, you know, pre-season tour. Of course, Manchester United's pre-season actually does kick off on Monday. Yes, it's only a few days away. Kicks off on Monday. We're playing Rosenborg in Norway. That's kick-off's 5 o'clock. I'll be live for that one. So obviously he's not going to be available for those kind of pre-season fixtures. But as far as the tour, should be through the door, should be sorted. And I spoke about it a lot yesterday when we got the Here We Go announcement. I'm really excited by it. I think that I saw a lot of really interesting thoughts on this. One, which is so true, and let me know in the chat when it was. When was the last time that Manchester United's top 2 strikers were not either over the age of 30 or completely broken down and injury prone? And when you think about it, it's been a really long time. A really long time. You forget that for the best part of the last, 10 years, Manchester United have just been consistently buying strikers that have been over 30 patchwork, or, you know, the options that we've got one that's available and one that's not available. You know, it's wild. It is wild. So, you know, and again, that's 2 options, not just one. 2 options. First 2. I'm not talking about when did we have a striker that wasn't under the age of 30 or injury prone. I mean 2 strikers that were under the age of 30 and not completely injury prone. So it's very exciting from that point of view. I'm really, really pleased about the structure of the deal too. I'm really pleased about that because I think it shows an element of nuance, an element of, I don't know, just, I can't even put it into words, really. You know, we're so used to Manchester. I mean, in the past, it would have been, there's a release clause there, Man United will just pay it. You know, there you go, we'll just pay it. Cool, because in the grand scheme of things, that his release clause wasn't huge, 34 million quid. In today's market, signing a striker from Serie A, we know what the going rate was. Look at last season, which was massively overinflated. But in the past, Man United would have been like, oh, yeah, good. We don't even have to really do any negotiating. We'll just pay the release clause. And now you get these new people in, like your Dan Ashworths, like your Omar Barada, starts work, I think does it technically start tomorrow, which is a strange day, but it starts on the 13th, I think it was. Definitely be in by the beginning of next week. These people look at it and go, well, we could, or we could try and stretch our budget as much as we can this summer. We can look at our FFP and PSR restrictions, and we could try and, we'll give him a bit of extra money, and I say a bit of extra money, 2.5 million euro extra, which is, in the grand scheme of things, not that much. Stretch it out over 3 years. Suddenly, we've got more money to play around with this summer. Suddenly, that can be the difference between another deal getting over the line and not getting over the line because of FFP and PSR restrictions. Again, and it's still relatively low cost, isn't it? It's still much more low cost. Let's check it into. Let's do the conversion. Euros to pounds. Euros into pounds. 42.5 million. So that's about 36 million quid or something. That's good. That's good business as well, isn't it? It's good business. When we spoke about this yesterday too, when it comes to his wages at Bologna, he's on about £20,000 a week. About £20,000 a week. So Manchester United, this would be the thing that I would be like, right, we are moving in a different direction, a proper direction. There is no need for him to be earning over or even close to £100,000 a week. Not a chance. When you look at some of the other players in the squad, I think Rasmus Højlund's on about 85. You look at other people in the squad, people like McTominay, etc. They're on like 60. Bear in mind that he's still young. It should be it should be under. It should be, I think, significantly under. I think if you're looking similar number to maybe Højlund, maybe 85, something like that, I think is the right move, but definitely under. There doesn't need to be. there doesn't. So we'll see what happens with that one. But I'm happy with the business, and I think it says a lot about the profile of player we're going after. Young, still room to grow. And I think, again, this is when I go back to, I think we have to be realistic about the type of players that we can attract, particularly strikers. I mean, strikers are a premium in European football and global football. They're not cheap. And, you have to kind of take a bit of a gamble, and you have to try and, particularly with the position that Man United are in, where, we haven't been the Manchester United that we love and know for the best part of, we certainly haven't won a Premier League title in over a decade now, and we've been horribly mismanaged. So we're going to have to be smart when it comes to recruitment. We're going to have to bring some players in where there's room to grow, room to develop, and clearly Joshua Zirkzee is going to be one of those kind of players. Now, he's certainly an option. He's certainly different to Rasmus Højlund in terms of the style of player. You would have still maybe a bit of a concern in the sense of, clearly throughout his career thus far, he's not a huge goal scorer or anything like that. So it's going to be interesting to see. I mean, Kevin Hatchard said it in the interview with Flex, if he can make that step up to getting more goals, if he's just going to be more so of like, he's going to chip in for 10 goals a season, something like that in the Premier League, maybe like 15 in all comps, maybe something around those numbers. But it's more that he's there for, again, dropping deep, linking up, facilitating more goals for those players around him, whether it is like Bruno Fernandes, whether it is whoever's playing on the wings in any of the games, something like that. In the same way that a bit like people have made the comparison between him and Roberto Firmino. So exactly, I said he's exactly like Roberto Firmino. He's going to be just as successful as Roberto Firmino was at Liverpool. But my point where he wasn't necessarily judged completely on his goal scoring output. He'd still get goals, but it was more his importance to the team, perhaps. So, again, I think it's an encouraging signing. Hopefully, first of many. There might be a bit of a worry about goals, but hopefully, Rasmus Højlund hopefully will score more goals this season. Hopefully, it will facilitate more goals for the other players in the team too. So I'm excited by it. I'm excited at how quickly Manchester United did it too. Literally, the Euros ended for the Netherlands. Less than 24 hours later, we're getting a here we go. Well, literally 48 hours after he goes out of the Euros, he's in Manchester having a medical. That's how quick. That's how quick we need those things. And it goes to prove the point that we brought up previously, that you can only get it to a certain point when these international tournaments are going on. You can get it up to that line, but if the player says, look, do your agent job. Go and sort out the deal. Go negotiate with these clubs, Man United, AC Milan, whoever. Go and do that, and then bring me something. Bring me an offer. Bring me when it's nearly completed. I'll say yes, I'll say no. But right now, I'm just completely focused on the Euros. Euros finishes. Hey, Man United. Yep, happy with that. Right, done. Let's go and get your medical done. I mean, so, and it's no coincidence when it comes to Matthijs de Ligt as well. That's another one that I think we'll probably get. Here we go. Probably, what next? 48 hours, 72 hours, something around that period of time. And again, it's no coincidence that things have sped up now that the Netherlands are out of the Euros too. So I think it's very exciting. I'm very happy with the deal, happy with the option, happy with how quickly it's been done. And now it's on to the next one. You know what the positive thing is too? In the past, like this time last year, when we went, right, this one deal was done, we'd be like, right, okay, we got to start from scratch on the next one. You go, right, now we're going to go after, so it was like Mason Mount. Right, Mason Mount, that one's going to be done. Right, Andre Onana, how long is that going to take? Probably a few weeks. Why? Well, it's kind of been sort of feelers. We just sort of feelers have been kind of put out there on that one. But now we're working on it. Whereas now, this year, it's a bit like, right, Zirkzee, that one's pretty much done. We're already quite far. We're already quite far on de Ligt and Leny Yoro. We've already got a bid accepted. So that one's already advanced, well, done on the club side of things. Now it's about what's going to happen with the player. So all of these things are still, there are multiple plates spinning at this period of time, which is encouraging. And that's why I was optimistic when your Dan Ashworths, when you're Omar Baradas, when you're Jason Wilcox, when you're Christopher Vivals, when they were announced, that's where the optimism comes from. Because it's those kind of people that can get these deals done quickly. It's those kind of people that can negotiate favourable deals for Manchester United. It's also, they can negotiate deals where, look, if it doesn't work out, this is also the important thing. Of course, we hope that Joshua Zirkzee will come in. He'll be a success. He'll be at Manchester United for years and years whilst Man United win trophies. But every transfer is a gamble. Every transfer is a risk. And also what Manchester United need to do is be able to not back themselves into a corner, have the ability that if it hasn't worked out or it's not working out over a couple of years, they can cut bait. They can move on. So that's when it goes back to the fee isn't that high. That's when hopefully it goes into the wages won't be that high, because if it doesn't work out, you've not made that much of a loss. You move on, done. That's what Manchester United need to do. Not back themselves into corners, not give out these hugely inflated contracts, not put these deals together where we're like, oh, there's such a bad deal. Look, we're just going to completely lose money on these transfers. It's terrible. And not that you should go into any transfer thinking that they're going to fail, but you should also go in there with your eyes wide open and realise that they're risks. It's a gamble. That's what it is. That is a gamble. And there are plenty more positions that Manchester United need to recruit for this summer. We've done the striker one. We know that we're in the market for 2-3 centre-backs. We still desperately need a left-back. And we're obviously, hopefully, still looking at a midfielder too. So there's plenty of different options, plenty of different positions. And hopefully, this is just the first of many this summer too. How many likes are we currently at the moment? We've got over 1,400 people watching, which is fantastic. We're currently at 382 likes. Let's see if we can get it to 500. And be sure to subscribe as well, bottom right-hand corner. Just want to check on social media in case there's anything else regarding Joshua Zirkzee. I think I have covered it. Well, this is certainly interesting, actually. So I mentioned that Florian Plettenberg had said that he was going to be signing his contract. Well, according to Samuel Luckers from the Manchester Evening News, he is saying that Manchester United could announce Joshua Zirkzee signing as early as today. So we might be getting an announcement today. That would be, I mean, that would be fast for Manchester United, wouldn't it? Usually we get the here we go, and then we wait like a week. We wait like a week or 10 days or something like that. So for United to announce that, of course, it could be one of those sort of double announcements, if you will, which is that they announce that a deal has been agreed in principle, subject to a work visa, blah, blah, blah. And then you get kind of the second announcement later on next week of like him in the kit. I mean, he is going to be going on holiday for a couple of weeks because, of course, he was participating in the Euros. So I think also that's why they want to get this done, finalised, completed as soon as possible. So it's not a case of him having to go on his holidays, come back, then finalise the deal. It's a case of it's all done, it's finished, go on your holidays, and then when you come back, you're a Man United player. Something like that. But according to Samuel Lutkers for the Manchester Evening News, which would probably suggest that, and usually, by the way, peek behind the curtain with this kind of thing, is they'll contact the club or call up, someone on the comm side of the club and say, so Zirkzee, we know he's having his medical today. How quickly do you think that one could be announced? And they go, could be today. Could possibly be today, that one. So we shall wait and see. Of course, if that does happen, I will be here and we'll be talking about it, and we'll be chatting about the first signing of the Ineos era, first player signing of the Ineos era. So yes, watch this one with bated breath. Now, Leny Yoro. This is a really interesting one, isn't it? Because he's got a decision to make, folks. It's either Manchester United or it's Real Madrid. Now you might say, oh, come on. Who's picking Manchester United? Who's picking Manchester United in that regard? Well, there are pros and cons. There are pros and cons for every decision in life, and there are pros and cons when it comes to this one too. And according to Florian Plettenberg, he hasn't yet made his mind up. Now, Florian Plettenberg has said Leny Yoro has not made a decision yet. He understands it is now about whether he will move to Manchester United or Real Madrid. These two teams are currently in the race for the 18-year-old top talent from Lille. At the same time, Manchester United is taking the next steps in the negotiations with FC Bayern for Matthijs de Ligt. So, according to Florian Plettenberg, he hasn't made his mind up, and it's up to him as to what he wants to do. And I still, look, if this was I'm not very good with odds or anything like that, or betting or anything like that, but you would still say Real Madrid, they're the favourites, probably heavy favourites in this regard. Prior to Man United getting that bid accepted, it was that he favoured a move to Real Madrid, he wanted to move to Real Madrid, that was the team that he wanted. But interestingly, Real Madrid are not willing to match Manchester United's offer. Their offer that they are willing to put on the table is significantly less to Lille. And Lille are saying to Leny Yoro, well, accept the Man United one. The Man United one is the best offer on the table for us financially. Yes, you've got a year left on your contract. You've come through the academy, but it would help us if you accepted that one. But Yoro's maybe a bit like, well, I want to go to Real Madrid. But if Real Madrid aren't willing to put the option on the table, or the correct offer on the table, you get this bit of a stalemate. Now, obviously, the reason why Florian Plettenberg is saying it's up to him is because the decision, the power is all in his hands. It is up to Leny Yoro as to what he wants to do. Lille can put a bit of pressure on, and I suppose Manchester United can do their best attempt to try and convince him, but it's up to him. If Leny Yoro says, the only club I want to go to is Real Madrid, then everyone in the situation is a bit screwed. I mean, we have seen Kylian Mbappe, arguably best player in the world, right? We'll go, I'll wait, and I'll go on a free. Leny Yoro could absolutely do the same. Go, I'll wait, I'll go on a free. Or, because he's got a year left on his contract, Lille just eventually panic, and they say, look, do you really mean that the only club you're willing to go to is Real Madrid? Yep, it's only one. Then I guess we'll have to accept something. Then I guess we'll have to do something because we've got to get some money. Because obviously, look, French football is hurting right now when it comes to the collapse of their television deal. I mean, I say that looks like Greenwood's going to be going there for 20-odd million quid, but still, the finances aren't totally robust. And when you've got what is being described as, and we'll see whether he lives up to the hype in the future, but he's being described as this, generational kind of talent, 18 years old, and the top clubs around Europe are all vying for him, so there must be some kind of quality there. Lille must be thinking, well, surely we got to get some money for him. Again, he's come through the academy too. Like we can't let him go on a free. And it feels like Real Madrid are really confident in their position that we'll just wait. We'll wait. He's willing to wait. We're willing to wait. And either eventually we'll get him cut price or we'll get him on a free, which, there's no such thing as a free transfer, of course, because there's signing on bonuses, agent fees, etc. from Manchester United's perspective, all they can do is what they've done thus far, get a bid accepted and put pressure and make it such a good bid that the club put pressure on the player. It'd be really good if you actually joined them, because that's the best deal for us. And as of right now, we're not going to accept a bid from Real Madrid, and try and play a bit of games from that. You've then also got to sell the project as best as you can, and it seems kind of farcical a little bit, doesn't it? It seems a bit farcical, being like, you don't want to go to Real Madrid, you want to come to Manchester United. Didn't you finish 8th last season? And they won the Champions League. You're not even in the Champions League this season. Yeah. But we're building. Have you not seen? We've got all these people coming in. We've got these players that are still here. We're making signings this summer. And also, something that he might not have at Real Madrid, at least initially, is you're 18. You'll go there. You might not play for a couple of years. You'll be on the bench, winning Champions Leagues in the Liga and still being in the squad with Mbappe, Vini, Endrick, Camavinga, Tchouaméni, Bellingham. It doesn't. Ignore that. Ignore that. What we're offering you is you can be first team starter right through the door. 18 years old, Old Trafford, starting centre back. You can play alongside Lisandro Martinez, and actually that might be something that does attract him. And I think that if the Manchester United football leadership structure, if your Dan Ashworths and your Omar Baradas were able to pull this off, then you would really be saying to the cynics or the critics, going, now what? Because nobody thought that one was possible. And what I will say is, I'm not ruling it out. I do think it's unlikely, and I do think we're the underdogs in that regard. It's really difficult to compete with Real Madrid in terms of attracting players nowadays. I mean, the motto is, let's sign the best young players in Europe and create some kind of young Avengers, basically. But if Manchester United were able to pull it off, it would be, again, unbelievable. And I can't rule it out, because there have already been things that have happened in the space of the last few months that felt like that's not going to happen. That's completely impossible. There is no way this is going to happen. And it has. I use the Dan Ashworth example quite a lot, because it's true. All of the noises for months were complete stalemate on the fee. Newcastle want 20. Man United want to pay like 3 or something like that. Absolutely no way. Newcastle are adamant they're going to get 20 million quid. Even if they did pay that, he might not be able to start until after the summer transfer window, maybe the end of the year, maybe beginning of next year. 2025, that's when Dan Ashworth is going to come in. That's just what's going to happen. And yeah, it goes quiet for a little bit, but then next thing you know, I mean, he's on the statement yesterday with well, I've got to get my soundboard ready for this one. He's on the statement yesterday with Rene and Ruud van Nistelrooy. And he was on the statement when it came to Erik ten Hag and his extension of his contract. So he's actively working at Manchester United. Omar Barada starts in a couple of days, tomorrow, but he'll be actively involved in this too. So, and this is why we brought these people in. We brought these people in to do deals that under the previous regime weren't thought to be possible, to do smart deals, to do deals that we take a step back and go, how have United done that? Where it comes to just the price or the player or this or the wages, how have they been able to sell that project? So whilst I think it's unlikely, it's definitely not impossible, because what did Sir Jim say? Best in class. If they're truly best in class, they'd be able to pull off a deal that seemed pretty unlikely. And they'd be able to do something which the previous regimes have not been able to do when it comes to young players that are considered to be some of the top players across Europe, is sell the project. Sell the project, sell Manchester United, sell the vision, and say this is where you want to be. And the previous people couldn't do it. John Murtough couldn't do it. Ed Woodward couldn't do it. Richard Arnold couldn't do it. They could get players that were already at big clubs that were maybe on the decline and pay big money and give them big wages. But you don't really need to sell the project. What's the project at Manchester United? We're going to give you a shitload of money. Oh, Lovely. I'm in. Oh, and where are you coming from? Well, I'm coming from like Real Madrid, and I've kind of won everything anyway. And I'm coming from Bayern Munich, and I've kind of won everything anyway. And or I'm coming from Chelsea in the Premier League, and I've already won Premier League titles. So there's, and I'm already sort of in my sort of late 20s, early 30s. So that's what I'm doing. So there's not really a lot to sell there. But when it comes to actual young players, their eyes are wide open. They're looking around, going, right, I can go to any club in Europe. Where do I want to go? Where am I going to be successful? Where am I going to win things? Where am I going to play? Manchester United haven't been able to do that for the last decade, because rightfully so, a lot of the agents of these young players go, you don't want to be going anywhere near United. Don't go near them. Why? You might not play. They're a mess. That's just don't go there. So if United are able to pull this one off, then I think it would be a huge amount of credit to everyone involved in the transfer, whether that be Ashworth, Favell, Barada. So I mean, I'm hopeful. I wouldn't say I'm optimistic. I still feel like he's going to end up going to Real Madrid, but I appreciate the ambition from United, and also with these new people in charge, there is something in me that just goes, if they thought it was impossible, why would they do it? Why would they waste their time if they didn't think there was a possibility, or they didn't think there was a chance? If they thought that there was a realistic possibility, or they backed themselves of, we feel we can do this deal, we feel we can convince him and get this deal over the line, so we're going to put the bid in, and we feel like we can get it accepted. So I think it's not impossible. Definitely not impossible. Not the favourites. Won't be shocked if we get something that says, no, it's Real Madrid, or he's staying at Lille to go on a free, or maybe in January. But it's not impossible, although probably unlikely. What are people saying here in the chat at the moment? Cool says delusional. Well, let's talk about shitting on my optimism straight away. Gush. And the optimism of, I don't think it's likely, but it's not impossible. You're deluded. Okay, it's fine, no problem. Makish says we're going to do this. What else are people saying here? Someone says do that on KG's channel. I tell you what, it is funny, isn't it, with Man United fans, because we are just so, we can be so downtrodden, and I get it, I understand it, but we were doing this a couple of weeks ago, weren't we? We were doing this a couple of weeks ago with some of these incomings of the staff members or whatever. The initial bit is just absolutely no way. You're an idiot if you think that, and it's like, well, again, as someone says in the chat there, improbable, not impossible. That's the way of looking at it. Now, I suppose it's up to you how you perceive that, because I think a lot of people, if you went, it's quite improbable but not impossible, you would look at that as, don't get your expectations up too high, but you never know. There could be, it's unlikely, but it could still possibly happen. If their immediate reaction is so absolutely 0% chance, then that's comprehension, isn't it? Really, because it's not impossible or anything like that, but it's unlikely. And again, if it does happen, I'll be very, very pleased. I don't think it will. It'll be interesting to see what is going to happen on the centre-back front. We are going to get, I think, De Ligt. That one's going to happen. The Branthwaite one, I'm feeling very edgy about it, to be honest, because the more the price goes up, and I think that Man United should walk away from that deal as, again, proof that they're just not going to be messed around when it comes to negotiations. If Everton are like, well, we think he's 75 million pounds, you go, all right then. But then, okay, if that's your value, then that's not our value. We'll walk away. And then also, you would then go to say to Everton, oh, by the way, then nobody's going to go in for him. Nobody's going to buy him for that price. And you also got a player that wants to move. So we'll see. And we'll back off. And we've got other options. So I think that, and it does go to show, again, the differences between the Premier League tax, English tax. I mean, slightly different in the sense of Branthwaite's got a deal until, 2027, I think. Whereas Yoro's a year left. too, so that's part of it. But it does say a lot, doesn't it, where you've got what is being described as one of the best defensive talents, young defensive talents in Europe, is significantly less than Branthwaite. But hey, that's football, isn't it? So yes, improbable, not impossible. Hasn't, as Florian Plettenberg said there, hasn't made up his mind yet. So I think we'd be foolish at this point just to be like, there's absolutely no chance it's happening. What are we doing? We are a mess. Enjoy. So that's the latest when it comes to Leny Yoro. If you haven't already clicked the like button, where are we at? We're currently at close to 600 likes, 573. So if you haven't already clicked the like button, be sure to subscribe, bottom right hand corner too. Recently hit 170,000, on the road to 200k. Rumour has it that's when another party happens, maybe. Means I have to go outside. And also a couple of reminders when it comes to some match views. Sunday, I don't know if you've heard, European Championship final. Yes, Euro 2024 final. Spain versus England. You can see it right there on the right hand side of the screen. I shall be live. I shall also be live on Monday for a Manchester United match view. Yes, you can see it there. Kickoff's at 5 o'clock. I'll be live at 4. It's Rosenborg versus Manchester United in Norway. The first pre-season fixture. So I'll also be live for that one. Yes, we're actually going to watch Manchester United play. Could you imagine? Oh, feels like it's been the longest time, doesn't it? The last time was the FA Cup final. So I'm excited for that. Imran says the Asylum Grand reopening. Yes, indeed. The pre-season begins there, which goes through the US tour late nights. It's going to be a lot of fun. I enjoyed that. What else are people saying here in the chat at the moment? Lil Yo-Yo says Yoro shirt incoming if he comes. Absolutely no way. Absolutely no chance. Again, watch Lil Yo-Yo, please. He is a menace. I'm relying on the people in the chat to keep him in check because he is. Yeah, you need to watch him. You need to watch him. What else are people saying here at the moment? Brian says it's not just English tax on English players, it's Manchester United tax when Manchester United come in for them, which is also, again, another part of why I think that they need to they need to send the message that, again, we're not going to be messed around. We're not going to be overpriced. You say you think he's worth 70, 75 million. We don't. We'll come back in next year. We'll come back in January. We've got other options. In the past, it would have been, shit, don't tell them, but he's our only target. It's the only one we're going after. What are we going to do? Oh, I guess we'll just have to pay it. But what about the other people we're meant to be signing this summer? We'll do it next year. We'll get a striker that's past 30 on loan in. That's what we'll do. Let's just do that. We'll just do that one. That's the classic Manchester United. So I think that the Branthwaite deal actually needs to be used to send a message of like, no, we're willing to walk away from deals. We're not prepared to overpay as we were previously. The player wants it, so sort it out with him because we're not interested in doing that again. Robert says, worried Yoro showing interest in United to spur Real Madrid to improve their bid. Look, that very well might be the case, and maybe Yoro and Lille might try and do that. It looks like, again, with Real Madrid. But I think all the reports suggest that they're really comfortable, and that's because why wouldn't they be comfortable? I mean, when they've signed the players they have signed in recent seasons, when they've won the Champions League, then they win it every other year at this point, that they're in the position. When you've had Kylian Mbappe wait a season to join him on the free, then that's kind of the standard, isn't it? That's kind of the benchmark of, well, if he can wait, anyone can wait. The deal has to be right for us. We're not willing to spend this amount. If you really want to join us, then you'll wait. Or your club will do the deal. If not, we'll sign you on a free. And the players are so desperate to join that club because they see, momentum's a funny thing in football, isn't it? When you can see where things are going. Because it looks like, and it might not happen. We've seen it with Real Madrid in the past, with the Galacticos, right, in the sort of late 90s, early 2000s, where despite having all of those unbelievable marquee names, it didn't really equate to like winning a bunch of Champions Leagues or a bunch of La Liga titles, really. With David Beckham, he won the league, his only La Liga in his last season there, I think it was. But the point being is, I think if you were a young player and Real Madrid are interested in you, you would look at the team that they have assembled or are assembling with the players they've got, with the age of those players too, and just go, holy shit. If I go there, I could end up with a career. You know, people talk about like, you know, Toni Kroos has just retired, or Luka Modric, or whoever, and they, at the end of their career, they go, oh, they won the Champions League 6 times or something ridiculous. You're like, what? That's possible. That's possible if you go to Real Madrid. So that's what Manchester United have to compete with. That's why it's improbable, not impossible though, because that's why these transfer people have been brought in. Absolutely. Let's talk about Casemiro. Let's talk a little bit about Casemiro and a possible move to Saudi. Now, Fabrizio Romano has spoken. He's been saying a lot actually about Casemiro for, gosh, how many months now, talking about interest from Saudi Pro League teams in the Manchester United midfielder. Romano has said Saudi Pro League clubs' interest in Casemiro is still very strong, as reported. More will follow in the next days. Still no formal proposals, but genuine interest. Now, Ben Jacobs wrote a really lengthy post who does actually cover quite a lot of Saudi transfer news. He has said, Casemiro's situation remains the same. Long-standing Saudi interest from several clubs, but deal makers waiting to see if the Brazilian greenlights a move. Prior to his departure, John Murto discussed Casemiro in January with Al Nassr and Al Hilal, both expressing interest back then. Al Qadisar and Al Ali have also considered Casemiro more recently. Club will be determined centrally, basically meaning that the way the Saudi Pro League operates, Flex kind of spoke about it quite in depth on Sky Sports last year, saying that the Saudi Pro League or the Saudi PIF sort of earmark players that they want. They'll go, right, we want to sign Casemiro. Which club will he go to? This club. You know, it's not necessarily the clubs pushing, it's the Saudi Pro League or the Saudi PIF pushing. Manchester United are open to a sale. Saudi deal makers believe a fee of around 35 million euros is fair, with add-ons in addition. Manchester United content to take Casemiro's wages off the books if they sanction an exit, even if the fee is somewhat smaller than hoped for. The Saudi window isn't actually open yet. It opens on the 17th of July, so movement is expected in the coming weeks. So maybe if you're wondering of why some of these Saudi deals a little bit, taking a bit longer than maybe had anticipated, it's because their window isn't open yet. We should see some movement on that in the next couple of weeks. As far as, to be honest, the 35 million euro mark for Casemiro, and they're saying, well, that fee might have been a bit lower. I didn't expect that much from him anyway. At this point, Manchester United grossly overpaid for him 2 years ago. I mean, that's why it got a lot of press. Not only because it's Manchester United and it's Casemiro coming from Real Madrid, but it got a lot of press because, what was it, 70 million quid for a player over 30? Wasn't it like the second or third highest transfer fee for a player over 30 in history? The more you look at that deal, and this isn't like going in on Casemiro or saying he's never achieved anything or Casemiro's washed, so you're saying he's never been good. No, it's just a case of when you take a step back on it, it was just a terrible deal financially for Manchester United to do. Was it 4 or 5 year contract? Highest paid player at the club now, £350,000 a week. And for a player that's clearly, looks to be physically in decline somewhat and struggled last season, and there's still 3 years left of that, on £350,000 a week, highest paid player. Wow. Wow. So for me, when I look at that deal, not that the transfer fee is not important, but, come to terms that we're going to get a loss a long time ago. It's mainly just to get him off the wage bill. It's to get him off the wage bill, and like we spoke about earlier on when it came to Zirkzee and other players, to try bring that wage bill down, try and just restructure that wage bill and have some parity where you don't have just these huge wages for players that aren't really reflective of that value in terms of their importance to the team or in terms of their contributions to the team. I did this yesterday on the Here We Go stream, talking about Manchester United's wage structure and salary, because I think sometimes it gets overlooked by maybe some fans, or maybe fans don't necessarily realise how bad it is at certain points. Bear in mind, this has actually just kind of been tidied up a little bit recently, because you've had Anthony Martial leave £250k a week. You've had Raphael Varane leave, or was it £340,000 a week. So significant departures off the wage budget. But you look at, let's just look at the the 6 top earners at Manchester United. There's 6 players that earn £200,000 or more a week. Anthony, £200,000 a week. He's the 6th highest earner at Manchester United. And that's when I talk about earlier on with Zirkzee, talking about, you've got to you can't back yourself into a corner and make deals and make players impossible to sell because you back yourselves into a corner. Yes, you hope that they're going to work out, but you never know. Don't back yourself into a corner. £200,000 a week. Bruno Fernandes, 5th highest earner, £240,000 a week. Now you see in a second why maybe he wants a new contract, because he would look at it going, some of the players that are above him earning more than him, he'd be like, there's absolutely no way that should be the case, considering he's the captain and you can't argue with his contributions to Manchester United. Mason Mount, £250,000 a week. 4th highest, or joint 3rd, if you want to really look at it, highest earner at Manchester United. Didn't play at all last season, barely. This season, huge. And also, once again, it would go back into the situation, wouldn't it have been like, so you brought him in for those wages, and it felt like there wasn't a real plan for how he was going to be used into that squad. And it was like, above him, well, same amount. And again, this one's more disputed. Jadon Sancho, it says £250,000 a week. That one's been disputed quite a lot, hasn't it? It went down when he wasn't playing. I think it's gone back up now a little bit. But he's one of the highest earners, one of the top earners at the club. And again, another name, Manchester United are looking to get off the books this summer, try and cash in, get a transfer fee, but also get the wages off the book. Marcus Rashford, 2nd highest earner, £300,000 a week at Manchester United. Signed that new contract and then had an absolute stinker of a season. And then the top earner, Casemiro, £350,000 a week. And that I've mentioned there, that's the top 6 players there. And maybe and even when it comes to Bruno Fernandes, I would say he had his best season last season, but certainly out of those 6 players, he has contributed significantly more, significantly more in the last 12, 18 months than a lot of those players. Marcus Rashford had a great season 2 seasons ago. Last season, absolutely terrible. So, yeah, I look at it as that whole, and then you just get a bit under that. Sirens in the chat. You just get a bit under that. You look at Harry Maguire, £190,000 a week. Yesterday we saw Donny van der Beek. He's officially gone. He was on £120,000 a week. Just for comparison, that's the same amount of money as Sandro Martinez and Andre Onana. How much they're on per week? A little bit ahead of them, Christian Eriksen. He's on £150,000 a week. So there are, with a lot of these players, it is obviously looking like for Casemiro, circling back to him. Yeah, we're talking about the transfer fee, €35 million. I'd be happy with that, because it's more about getting him off the wage bill and trying to bring that wage bill down to what looks to be somewhat of a reasonable level. And once again, if we're able to convince Casemiro to leave, then I would look at the football leadership team, those people involved once again, the Dan Ashworth, the Christopher Vivell, the Omar Barada. If they're able to do that, then they would deserve credit, because it's not an easy situation. That is not an easy situation, because the power is still completely in Casemiro's hand. He can be like, I'm on £350,000 a week. I have, 2-3 years left on my contract. There is nothing forcing me to leave. Now, granted, the Saudi wage offer to him, you would expect to be considerably high, probably more than he's on, because with the Saudi bids, it's not really about, again, the transfer fee, it's about the wages. So that hopefully will be something that would tempt him to, you've got this offer from Saudi, it's like 500k a week, 600k a week, and you could say, those are stupid numbers, but legitimately it could be those numbers. Some of the wages that the players playing in the Saudi Pro League are on, that can be very attractive. But ultimately, if Casemiro goes, no, my family's settled here, I've got 2-3 years left on this contract, I'm very happy with the finances that I'm on, then there's nothing Manchester United can do about it. Nothing. And that's when it goes back to, in the first place, how you structure these deals, the contracts you put down, the amount of wages you put down for these players. Do you give yourself wiggle room? Things can change. Things might not work out. And how good are these people to actually maybe convince Casemiro to leave and undo the sins of the past? There are a lot of sins of the past for Manchester United to overcome. A lot when it comes to transfers and finances. So that's also the other part of it, where it's like, it's going to take time. It is going to take time, and it's going to be tough and challenging to do. No doubt about it. S. Madison says, haha, imagine Casemiro rejecting £600,000 a week. Well, it's funny that, isn't it? Because you would think, when it comes to the finances of a Saudi move, there have been players that have done that, because for them, I say it's not about the money, but they look at it and they just go, I'm already a multi-millionaire. I don't need it. I don't need the money, and I still want to play at the top level. I still want to play in Europe. That's what I want to do. Now, some players look at it as, and I suppose rightfully so, I think it was Ruben Neves when he joined. Was it Al Hilal he joined? I forget which team he joined. But he said, when he was asked, he went, this is generational wealth. Like, this is securing the future for me, my kids, possibly even their kids. That's how much money we're talking here. It's that big. And football's a short career. And it's you've got to make your money while you can. Not to say that Casemiro hasn't, though. That's the point. And that's not to say that he isn't either. So we shall see. Some people saying medical completed. I'm not sure where that is. We know that, once again, if you are just tuning in, that Joshua Zirkzee is having his medical this morning. He is in Manchester. He is going to have his medical. Then he's going to be chatting with Erik ten Hag. He's going to sign his contract today. It could actually be announced today, the actual completion of the deal. Then he's going to go on holiday for a few weeks and then come back. But indeed, the medical certainly is ongoing. Yes. So that is the latest. I can't say anything to say it's done or anything like that. But yeah, it's definitely ongoing, and we shall see indeed what happens with it. But big up to everyone. Appreciate everyone tuning in. Rapid fire show that was this morning. If you haven't already, click the like button. Be sure to subscribe to What's on Tap for the remainder of today and the week. Well, as I mentioned, if there is any more transfer news, updates, announcements from Joshua Zirkzee, then we'll be all over that. Of course, tomorrow will be the same. Any more transfer updates, which I think there will be over the weekend, certainly we'll have that covered. Sunday, as I mentioned, we'll have the Euro 2024 final, Spain versus England. And then Monday, I'll be live also, not only with the transfer view, but also with Manchester United's match. We're going to watch Manchester United play. Pre-season friendly. Can you believe it? Yes, pre-season friendly. So big up to everyone. Appreciate you all tuning in. Have a great day, and I'll speak to you again very soon. I'm out of here. Peace.